Hey everybody and welcome to the Bullshit Party. And in this one we're going to be taking a closer look at the new Podium vehicle, the Maibatsu Penumbra FF. We're going to be taking a look at the exterior and the interior of the car, its performance, and what we can customize on it. So at some point we're going to be going to Los Santos Customs. And before we get started, please give this video a like, it really does help out the channel a lot. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, and let's get going. So first things first, getting the name out of the way and discussing what the real world inspiration for this car was. Maibatsu. Does it sort of remind you of a certain Japanese manufacturer? And if you said Nissan, this video is probably not for you. The Penumbra FF is based on the Mitsubishi Eclipse. There are some things that I see from other cars, for example the headlines from the R33 Nissan GTR, but in general I think it's safe to say that this car was inspired by the Mitsubishi. And talking about things that are inspiring, see how interactive the car is. I'm very happy to say that you can open the trunk, the hood, and both doors on this one. And all in all, I'm really happy with the level of detail we have here. Something interesting about the Eclipse is that it came with front or all-wheel drive, so I'm very curious to see what this car has. So let's check out the interior very quickly and set off to Los Santos Customs. My first impressions are that the interior is brand new for this one. And you probably didn't notice it, so go back to the video and watch it again. The oil temperature actually starts to rise as soon as you turn on the car. And let's go to Los Santos Customs and see what we can customize on it. Oh, and before that of course we need to know if it's an all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or... there we go, all-wheel drive. I was almost worried there for a second. So at this point I don't really see any faults in this car. Granted, I haven't driven it, but let's see what happens. And I can definitely say, even from my first moments with this vehicle, it felt very secure on the road. The acceleration, even with the stock vehicles, feels fine, and it just feels glued to the road. I don't know what Rockstar changed with the new batch of cars we got, but all of them seem very good. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, well, this is a part of the new summer DLC that got released about a month ago. So it's a brand new car, I haven't driven it before, and I'm really excited to see what customization options we have for it. And here you can see, even though that I swing the car left and right like a maniac, the car still feels very manageable. Only an idiot can crash this. See? If I need to be objective and I need to give a complaint, at the moment the complaint will be, well, the brakes aren't that great. And a little bit more information for the car in case you wanted to know, it's, as you already saw, it's a two-seater, two-door sports car. So if you want to race with it, it's gonna be in the sports category. Something that I didn't talk about when I was talking about the exterior of the car were the headlights, and that's because, well, nothing special there. We don't get any extra lights when we turn on the high beams, it's just the same bulbs for high and low beam. And if you've seen my videos before, which by the way you should, you know that after repairing the damage that I've done to the car, I upgrade all the performance options first. That way I get everything out of the way and I don't forget anything at the end. Oh, and I don't upgrade the armor, cause who needs it, right? And something that I did forget to show in the last video, for which I apologize, but here is the sell price for the vehicle. As I said, it's the lucky wheel car. And for those of you who are about to ask how much can you sell the car for, well, you can sell it for 0 or very close to 0. That's the deal with the Podium cars. Anyway, we're done with that, so it's time to customize this bad boy. And straight off the bat, you can see that there's a plethora of options we have here for the front bumper alone. And as I'm choosing a front bumper for this one, I'm thinking that the style that I want to go for this one is gonna be underground street car. Taking a brief look at the rear bumper options, well, there's a plethora of them as well. So far, I'm very happy with the options that I'm seeing. And after we choose a rear bumper, it's time to go to the important stuff, which is the exhaust. And the exhaust options, just like the rear bumper options, are pretty good. And at this point it does look like the game and I had the same idea of what the car is gonna be. Even though as soon as I saw him, I was pretty sure that I was gonna use the dual titanium tips, I wanted to showcase all the other options. It's a video after all. You're probably watching because you wanted to see what customization options the car has. It'd be perfect if only the video didn't have an annoying, barely English speaking narrator. Oh well, we can't always get what we want, but I think the front seat options more than make up for my annoying voice. And just like with the exhaust and the bumper options, I'm very happy with the choices here. And here things become even more interesting as we go over the hood options. In my opinion, there isn't anything ridiculous here and everything looks, well, it looks good. And since I'm trying to build an underground street racing car, I'm gonna go with the race spec hood. And because this car is gonna be a solid color, I'm gonna remove the livery. But in the process of doing so, of course, I'm gonna showcase all the other options we have. This is a rarity for me, and I understand that livery is completely subjective, but I really like all of them, especially this one. But after a couple of seconds, I come to my senses and choose the no livery. And since I've been so happy with all the customization options we've had so far, I'm not even gonna mention that you only have 3 options for a side mirror. And of course we're going for a black license plate. And as always, we're gonna leave the wrist spraying for the last thing, since it's something that you guys voted on. As for the roof scoops, I'm appreciative that they're there, but they're nothing special. Next up we have skirts, and honestly here we could have had 2 options, yes or no. Now this could be just me, or it could be the fact that I have a black car, but I don't see a difference between any of them, except for the carbon ones. But even though I don't see any difference between them, of course I'm gonna buy the most expensive one, and we're gonna go to the next option. And here things start to get interesting again. Just like with the bumper and exhaust options, here you can go crazy customizing your car. Having an exposed intercooler is definitely something that I want to have on this car. And if you don't like the fan look, well, you can do this. That's right, you can have 2 options for exposed intercoolers. I mean, how cool is that? And next up we have the spoiler options, and here the goodness just continues. As far as I know, different wings don't have different impacts on the traction bar. It's all cosmetic, so whether you choose the carbon small wing or the giant street wing, it's gonna have the same impact on the performance of your car. And when I thought the wings couldn't get any bigger, the game definitely proved me wrong. But since we're not building a plane here, I wanna go with a small, nice, discreet one. Something that would feel in place if, let's say, this car was a part of the first Fast and Furious movie. And in case you're curious of what I think about those movies, as far as I'm concerned, there are only 2 Fast and Furious movies, 1 and 2. And when the sun strip's done, it's time to lower the car to make it, well, more underground. And I definitely didn't expect to be able to slam it this low. But I gotta say, having the car with the competition suspension on does make it look like it came out of 1999's Fast and Furious.
Picture perfect suspension.
And the next thing that we're gonna change is of course the wheels. And because I didn't want to go with off-road wheels for my street car, I went with the, well, street wheels. And I'm not sure if I did a good job selecting the rims or not, I'm sure you guys are gonna tell me in the comments. But before you judge, wait until you see the final result. Oh, which totally reminds me to remind you that if you like the video, please consider leaving it a like. It really does help out the channel a lot. And if this is your first Bull Sheep video, first of all welcome, and second of all hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. And almost as I time this out, it's time to respray the car. And as most of you know, the color is determined by you guys, the viewers. And this week we're gonna be doing dark green as a primary color, race yellow as a secondary, and race yellow again for pearl scent. Thank you so much to everybody who voted, and if you want to put down a color that you want to suggest for next week's poll, now is your time. Leave a comment with the primary color, or the primary and secondary, or primary and pearl scent, whatever you want. And the top 5 choices are gonna be selected for next week's poll that you guys can vote on. And I'm sure you caught that, but this color looks great in a lot of the colors that we went through. And even just choosing a different pearl scent completely changes the personality of the car. All in all, so far, I'm very happy with the way things are turning out. And I really can't wait to get this on the street. And I think since we already know what the color is gonna basically look like, we can skip ahead to when we leave Los Santos Customs. So what do you think? Leave a comment with a number between 1 and 10 telling me if you like the car or not. I personally think the only thing missing is some horrible old Static X song. And speaking about things that we can listen to, let's listen to the exhaust note and see if it's changed some. I honestly can't hear any difference, and I really like the way the car sounds. I think it sounds very distinctive and very faithful to what it's based on. And if I'm not mistaken, the Mitsubishi Eclipse had an inline-4 engine. And that I think is exactly what this car sounds like. But enough about the exhaust and how the car looks, let's see how it drives. And as you saw, even from my poor attempt at a burnout, the car just flies off. The acceleration has improved, traction has improved, grip has improved, everything has improved since we got in. And I can hear what you're saying. But Bull Sheep, that's the point of upgrading the car. I completely agree with you, viewer, but sadly sometimes things don't work out that way. I've had cars who are actually worse when I upgrade them as opposed to being stock. And of course this is all subjective, but what I'm saying is this is not the case with this one. Oops. In my opinion, we have a gem here, and there is a simple answer to the question, is this car worth it? I'd say that if you had to buy it for $1.3 million, this car is absolutely worth it. But if you're watching the video in the week that it was released, this car is the Podium vehicle. That basically means that this car is free for the entire week. So again, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer. This car is definitely worth it. It's one of the most fun, responsive, and fast cars I've ever driven in the game. And with that, I think it's time to end the video. Thank you so much to everybody who watched, hopefully you liked the video, and if you did, please consider giving it a like. If you're not yet a subscriber, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. I told you guys that you don't need armor on your car. Works perfectly fine.